Hello, everyone. Very good morning, and welcome back to another session on Java programming. This is a course for Java specialist for those who would like to make career in Java. In the last session, we had some basic introduction to the course, and then we had talked a bit about various Java technologies which are there. We tried to understand what are the various Java technologies, how is it different than the Java program. We talked about Java SE, we talked about Java EE, Java FX, Java TV, Java Card, Java Embedded, and other things. Just to help you understand, what we learn is just a Java as a programming language, so-called core Java, which is nothing but Java SE, which is at the heart of all the Java technologies. Today, we plan to understand what is the current software scenario. And once we understand what is the current software scenario, we'll take this discussion further. We'll take the discussion further and also understand why is what is Java and or what exactly is Java technology and why is it so very popular in the market. So before we even go ahead, let's have an understanding as to what are the different types of softwares that are currently being designed or developed in the market. So if you have some understanding as to what is the current software scenario, then it will make sense for us to understand why does it make sense for us to invest in Java. So let's begin with our today's session. The first part of our session will be talking about current software scenario, where I need a lot of interaction from your side. I need to understand how much you know about the current software scenario, because all of you are planning to make a career in programming, and that too you're thinking about Java as a programming language. So if you're thinking about making career in Java and that too as a programming language, you need to know about the software scenario, what are things are there currently in the market, and where does Java stand in their entire stack. So let's begin with our discussion for today's session. Our focus is to understand the current software scenario. So let's begin with today's session. We had an introduction last time to Impetus. I had told you about like we are into training for last 20 years, like more than 20 years. We have been authorized partners with all of them for a period of time. I forgot to mention Python over here. And I'm Rishikesh, and I'll be conducting this particular course for you. And I'm also a Java certified professional. So what we plan to understand today is a current software scenario. So let's begin with our discussion of this current software scenario. Now, what I want you to do over here to understand this current software scenario, I want you to quickly list down the names of various softwares that you are aware of. So nothing special. It could be software that you have heard of, software that you have used, or software that you have read about. कहीं तो आपने पढ़ा है उस software के बारे में. But you know something about that particular software. So I just want you to give me name of such software products, not the services, but software. Come on, give me the list of softwares that you know. Come on, let's begin. Everybody should give me at least one or two software names. At least two software names everybody should give me. Let me not call out your names. You can just unmute and ask. Yes, everybody. Come on, it shouldn't take so long. You're just supposed to mention, you're not supposed to create a software. Just give me a name of a software product. Come on, do it fast. What is holding you back? Haven't you all heard of softwares? And if you haven't heard of software, then this course is not for you. Yes, come on, start quick. We cannot proceed further. This is not like, and if you want a video to be played, then I can very well share a video with you. I need not wake up early in the morning and conduct a session if you're not going to interact. Unmute yourself and answer. Don't go further unless you don't give an answer. So you have to give me an answer. Name of some software.
Primavera software.
Pardon?
Primavera software.
Gaurav, we couldn't hear you. Can you just come again?
Primavera software.
Okay. Now
Project
tell me,
development.
correct. So you are talking about Primavera software. Spell it Primevera. That's what it is. Is this what it is? Yes or no? Okay. So Gaurav has given one answer. Okay.
Hello,
Yes.
Saurav here.
Yes.
I've been using Jira, Bitbucket,
Give me one software.
Jenkins.
One name.
Jira.
I just want. Now,
Jira.
I do not want you to give me technologies that we use for software doing software development. I want you to give me one product which is commercially used by end users. Jira is not something that an end user will be using, correct? So Jira, I could just put it across, but then I want something that
Eclipse.
Okay.
Eclipse.
Okay, let me put also Jira as well. Now, for those who do not know what is Jira, can you quickly tell me what is Jira used for?
Jira is used as an SDLC process.
Correct. And what is SDLC?
Software development lifecycle, where we track.
Correct. It's meant for software development lifecycle. And what is Eclipse used for? Whoever mentioned Eclipse?
Yes.
What is it meant for? Eclipse.
To program the Java, means run the Java in compiler.
Okay, it's an IDE that is meant for developing the Java application, not to run, to develop a Java application. Okay, definitely not to run. IDEs do not run, that will facilitate running, but that is not responsible for running the application, maybe for development of an writing of code and other things. Okay, so we got three softwares. Come on, quick, do it fast. The list
Android
is ready.
Oracle.
What Oracle? Oracle is a name of the company. You're telling me the name of the company or what?
नहीं, वो जावा का
जैसे अगर मैंने कहा किसी गाड़ी का नाम बताओ, तो अगर आप टाटा मोटर्स कहोगे तो दैट वुड बी डिफिकल्ट ना. मैं प्रोडक्ट की बात कर रहा हूँ. Are you talking about Oracle DB? Are you talking about what? Oracle what? Oracle Financials? What Oracle? The name Oracle is normally associated with the Oracle DB, the database. Okay, it was actually not the name of the database. It was the name of the company. It is the name of the company, but the database became so very popular, they adopted the name of the database to the name of the company itself. So normally when we talk about databases, we talk about Oracle. So that's normally the case, but Oracle alone is just the name of the company. Yeah, come on, quick. Shouldn't take so long. अरे बहुत हो गया ना यार. एक हो गया database, तो अभी क्या 10 database दोगे क्या? फिर कोई कहेगा PostgreSQL. एक हो गया database, that's enough. एक हो गया ID, तो दो दोनों की जरूरत नहीं है. So I shouldn't have even taken Android Studio. What is that Android Studio? It's just an IDE like Eclipse. So don't give me repetitive things. यानी Oracle कहा तो सर MySQL, फिर कोहेगा PostgreSQL, फिर कोहेगा IBM DB2. अरे सारे डेटाबेस ही तो है. एक डेटाबेस हो गया. Don't give me the same one.
Sir, VMware workstations and all.
Okay, then. Come on, इतना मुश्किल है क्वेश्चन? सॉफ्टवेयर के नाम बताना इतना मुश्किल है? Come on, the sessions have to be interactive. You have to interact. It cannot be like just I keep on saying something and you just keep on absorbing, listening passively. You have to be interactive. You have to quickly tell me the answers. Learning cannot happen without interaction from both the sides.
Creo.
Then
MATLAB. Maybe.
Then
Netflix.
Then अब Amazon Prime नहीं कहना है. Netflix हो गया, Matter Close. हाँ.
Games probably different types of.
Give me the name of the product. I do not want
Zoom.
category. Huh?
Zoom meetings.
Zoom. Then
Cricket 7 or
pardon?
Cricket 19 or
Is there a game? Cricket 19? I haven't heard of. Hey, guess what?
EA Sports.
And उससे अच्छा वो आपका फीफा है ना, क्या वो,
हाँ
दैट्स मोर पॉपुलर. क्या वो फीफा या व्हाट, फीफा ओनली ना, यू नो.
हाँ सर.
ओके देन ये फीफा हो सकता है, या फिर वो गेम ऑफ थ्रोन्स है, और कुछ तो है, दैट गेम, या there are some so many popular games which are there.
Counter Strike.
Okay, Counter Strike, that's more popular. Okay, then come on, do it fast यार, हमें बहुत कुछ डिस्कस करना है. The question is not about you telling me the name of the software. Based on that, we have to understand various categories of softwares.
Facebook.
Okay, next.
Chrome.
Come on, I at least need 20, minimum 20.
Notepad.
अरे यार, हाँ, Notepad. Then
Anaconda.
VLC Studios.
I'll take VLC Player. How many times did you use VLC Studio? Normally we use VLC Player. जो normally use करते हो वो बताओ. हाँ. End user software की बात करो. जो
Ansys.
then चलो यार, quick.
Anaconda.
Oh, how many end users have you seen using Anaconda?
Google Maps.
I'm talking about, give me software that the customers use. End user uses. Don't talk about software that the developers use, like Jira. वो developer को पता है. पढ़ा?
WhatsApp.
Then
PhonePe. Flipkart. Amazon.
मैं अभी Amazon वगैरह नहीं लूंगा, अभी ये हो गया. फ्लिपकार्ट ले सकते हैं. Then अभी Amazon दोनों नहीं लेंगे, एक हो गया बहुत काफी. Come on, do it fast. That still doesn't cover all the kind of softwares.
Instagram.
Redbus.
पढ़ा?
Redbus. For booking tickets.
जो आप यूज करते रहो जो बताओ. Come on, do it fast. Let us complete this one page. 3 more. Give me 3 more, and we'll stop.
LinkedIn. PDF reader.
Pardon? PDF reader. Okay, that's something that we use. Okay, then Facebook हो गया, LinkedIn.
Microsoft
What?
Word Microsoft.
So let's say MS Office. Then that's something that you're probably using most often. जो सबसे ज़्यादा यूज कर रहे हो वो सबसे आखिरी में बता दो. हाँ. Then one more and we stop. Give me the one that you use very often. I have seen being used very often.
Cloud Drive.
अरे कितनी ज़्यादा क्लाउड ड्राइव यूज करते हैं. आपका ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम कितनी बार यूज किया आपने?
Windows.
एवरीडे विंडोज, लिनक्स, हर दिन यूज करते हो ना. बिना ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम के कुछ होता है क्या? You cannot miss out on some very important things. Now if we have just listed down various software. what is the objective of using and listing down this software? We need to understand where does Java stand, but even before that, we need to understand what are the various types of softwares which are there and for what purpose do we go ahead using them. Now, we probably may not be knowing the use unless we do not know what that particular software is. Now, we talked about Primavera. What is Primavera used for? Yes, who had mentioned what is Primavera used for? अरे मुंह खोलो. So he doesn't mention. Who else mentioned?
software development.
Software development.
स्टेप असतात प्रोजेक्ट डेव्हलपमेंट करायला.
Project
Java use
development. Project development सांगा. It's only meant for project management. जैसे Jira पे भी software development life cycle कर सकते हैं, वैसे वहाँ भी use कर रहे हैं. Now, I'm going to highlight some softwares for you, and then you're going to tell me what is common between them. One, watch it. I'm just highlighting some softwares for you, and you're going to quickly tell me what is common between both of them. I'll split this particular screen into two halves. Can split कैसे कर सकते हैं? Window. Splits. Setting preference import language encoding view. इसमें है क्या split वाला concept? Sure. I don't see. I open up Notepad side by side, and I'm just going to paste a few of them over here. So I'm going to just take up a few of them from here. So I take this 1, 2, 3, 3. So these are the various softwares that we had. And we list a few of them over here. Okay, I'm going to just select few and I'm going to paste them over here. So I'm going to select these three, copy. इन तीनों को मैंने यहाँ paste कर लिया. कौन तीन आ गए यहाँ? Eclipse, Android Studio, Oracle DB. Then I take MATLAB and Creo. Now for me, they all have something very common. Then Notepad, VLC Player, and Sys. आपको बताना है what is that common that you get to see. That means most of the software that you are given are all having something very common. So look at it. Out of these various 26 software that you are given, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Almost half of the software I find they are almost same. Now what is that you see common between all of them? Can you see this list of software that are highlighted, selected over here? Yes or no?
They run on
Yes, yes.
a Windows or PC.
They are not on Windows. क्या ये सिर्फ MS Office Windows पे काम नहीं करता है?
नहीं, they run on PC.
They are
Run on PC. They don't need internet.
They don't need internet. Okay, that's one thing. Okay, not necessary to have internet. That's one thing. Then update करने के लिए जरूरत है, but then it doesn't require constant internet connectivity. That's very correct. Then
They are used to read, write, and see.
they are used to
Read, write, and see something.
write and see. Okay, so write and see. So Anaconda में what do you write and what do you see?
Programs.
Okay, then that's true with all the software. ऐसा कौन सा software है जिसमें you don't write or you don't see something? तो कुछ तो सीख देख ही पाओगे ना? Okay, that's true with all the software. So that's not the feature. ऐसा कौन सा software जिसमें you don't write and neither do you see anything? Write नहीं करो दिखाई तो कुछ देने ही वाला है. Every software. Okay, that's not the feature. Anybody else? Any other? Now we are doing it intentionally. We are going through this particular exercise so that you have a clarity about what are the various kind of software that are being designed. I'll delete these names from here. यहाँ से मैं ये delete करते जाता हूँ कि अगर हमने discuss कर लिया तो we're just gonna delete those things. So I took these three, even the ANSYS and even the Anaconda. ये उठा दिया हमने यहाँ से. We have got into the second group now, and these. तो ये तो आधे चले गए हमारे softwares. So we have gone 26 में से we are left with 17 or 15. That means around 11, 12 softwares have been deleted. Yes, come on. Nikhilesh has given us one answer, and that's correct. Anything else? I bet many of you are software developers, and we went go on or aspiring software developers, if not developers, aspiring software developers, and we don't really have a clear understanding as to what technologies do I need to develop what kind of software. This exercise that we are trying to do is to understand what are the kind of softwares that we can design through what technologies, and what are the categories of software. So we should be in a position to quickly understand what probably do I need to know to develop those kind of softwares, because there are different categories of software. Different softwares require different features. Now the softwares that we have listed down over here, all of them we can put across in a single category, and that single category could have been desktop applications. Now, when I use the word desktop application, at least now, what comes to your mind if I use the term desktop software now? So I'll rather categorize them as desktop software. So if I'm categorizing them as desktop software, what comes to your mind?
They can only be run on desktop.
They can run only on desktop. That's not the case only on desktop. It can run on desktop. That means it can run on desktop. It can run over network also. That's okay, but it doesn't require, network is not a compulsion. So when you are developing a desktop application, any of the desktop application, they can run on note karke rakho abhi. You need to understand the differences. I have seen developers calling themselves graduates, software developers, and they cannot even identify what type of software it is. I do not want you to be a developer. You call yourself a Java programmer or .NET developer, and don't even know what is that category of software that we are trying to design. That kind of thing we do not want you to be into. You need to understand. The picture is what you need to understand. You need to understand the technologies. You need to understand what services needs to be provided. What are the dependencies of that particular kind of software? So these are desktop softwares. So note karke rakho. When we talk about desktop software, what is special about desktop software? They run on standalone device, PCs, in a computer. Standalone means a computer which is not a part of any network. That's perfectly all right. Standalone, not kind of any network, not even LAN, not even internet, nothing. Even if I have a standalone, a laptop or a desktop, they can actually run on a desktop, on a separate machine, a standalone, a separate machine, which is not a part of any network. So keep in mind, they run on standalone machines. Now, when I say standalone machine, there is no such requirement of having any sort of network. तो वो भी note करके रखो. There is no need for you to have any sort of network. कोई भी network की जरूरत नहीं. ना ही internet की जरूरत है, ना ही LAN या WAN की जरूरत है. Without that also it can work. It can work. Not that it cannot work over internet. Not that it cannot work over LAN. जरूरत नहीं है. No compulsion. If you want to run it on a separate machine alone, you can very well do that. So that's the second feature that is there. The third feature that we talk about is they are functionally very rich. Now, just to give you an idea, all of you must have used VLC player. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
So if you talk about VLC player, आपने video तो play किया रहेगा, but how many of you have really explored all the options that are there? Look at the number of options. Simplest thing है VLC player. MS Office तो बहुत दूर की बात है, but even if I take a simple VLC player, there are so many options which are available. There are so many different things that we can do. We can write a disk, we can save a playlist, we can stream it to the network. There are so many things. We don't even know VLC player will allow you to perform streaming and other things. We can increase volume, we can switch over from mono to Dolby kind of thing. So there are so many options which are available. That means they are functionally very rich. They can perform a variety of operation. So somebody talked about VLC Studio, ऐसा कुछ तो कहा था किसी ने. So it's almost that case, VLC player. यहाँ आप files को merge भी कर सकते हो. You can connect and save these files. There are a lot of things. The audio के लिए you can increase volume, decrease volume. You can choose the kind of devices that are there. You can add subtitles to your video. There are so many things that are there. We can change the effects, and you can apply filters. We don't normally use this feature. They're functionally very rich. And if I open up MS Office, I bet you must have not even explored 10% of the menu options which are there in Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Not even 10%. And that's my challenge to anybody amongst you. You may not have explored even 10% of the options which are available. So here, if you talk about a Word, look at the number of options that are there at the right at the top. If you look at the number of options which are there, insert, design, layout, references, mailing, और उसके नीचे ribbon में देखो कितने आ रहे, review, okay, review, view. There are so many options. How many have you really seen? A web layout क्या है, read mode क्या है, vertical side to side, immersive reading क्या है, focus reading क्या है? How many of you have seen that? Okay, there are so many options which are available. How many of you have even used these styles and other things which are there? How many of you use this pens to draw or this bar to cut the images? How many of you use a math editor inside this? Math को कितने लोगों ने इसमें अंदर डाला है? And then that's what I'm saying. They're functionally very rich. They can actually perform a variety of operations. So when I talk about desktop softwares, they're functionally very rich. They can run on a standalone machine. That can be desktop, it can be laptop standalone. It doesn't require any sort of network. Internet may be required. Okay, but that is intermediate connectivity. समझो आपने एक antivirus का software लिया है. That's also a desktop software. That may require intermittent connectivity. That means sometimes in between, you would like to connect to the network to update your software. But कोई जरूरी नहीं है कि constant internet connectivity हो. That's not something which is necessary. So what we require is intermittent connectivity. Constant internet connection is not required. Even if it's antivirus, once in a day you can update that, and that's still okay. For that software to run, you do not require constant internet connectivity. I hope all of you are carrying a notebook, because even if you listen to this, I know for sure with all my experience, it's not possible for you to memorize unless you do not take notes of it. So आपको note लेके रखने हैं. So that's the kind of software that desktop softwares are all about. They're functionally rich. They do not require any sort of network. Intermittent की जरूरत पड़ सकती है. Okay, intermittent connectivity की जरूरत पड़ सकती है. And they run on a standalone PC. Independent machine पे वो run कर सकते हैं. So those are the kind of softwares that we have immediately mentioned over here, and we had identified and we have categorized. Now let's look at the other kind of softwares that are there, because that's not the only software that is there. There are various categories of software, and we are just quickly going to understand what is the different things that different software provides us. So let's have the look at the other set of software that is there and quickly list them. Now we had listed these few. Let me take few of them from here now. I talk about Netflix. I take it over here, Netflix. I take Zoom, Facebook, Flipkart, Redbus, and this also to large extent. Now tell me, what is common between these? क्या कॉमन दिखाई दे रहा है आपको इसमें?
They are run in a mobile and a desktop also.
They run in mobile and desktop as well. Okay, that's one thing. Then
they need internet connection.
that's the most important thing. All of them need internet connection. मुझे बताइए मोबाइल में रन करो, डेस्कटॉप पे रन करो, इनमें से कौन सा सॉफ्टवेयर है that will run without internet connectivity? क्या Facebook, Flipkart, Redbus, Google Map, Netflix, इसमें से कौन सा जो सॉफ्टवेयर है that we can use without internet connectivity? That's not there. Okay, then what more? What more? पहला आंसर क्या था? They can run on.
desktop and
Okay, and that's wrong answer. सोचो मैंने क्यों कह रहा हूँ वो wrong answer है. You may argue with me, but why? What probably could be the reason I'm saying they are wrong? What you said, they can run on mobile or they can run. Actually, if you look at that, tell me very clearly, do you really have to install Google Map or Facebook or Redbus in your system to use them?
नाही सर मोबाईल मध्ये ऑटोमॅटिक
नाही. But mobile मध्ये नसेल तर वापरू शकत नाही का?
use करू शकतो.
तरी use करू शकतो. So do you require any kind of installation? No. But when we talk about MS Office, VLC player, could you use them without installing those softwares?
No.
No. So that means when you talk about desktop software, we require to install that particular software. They are functionally very rich. Now, if I talk about Netflix, if I talk about Flipkart, I can access them via my browser as well. Yes or no? We can access them via browser.
Yes.
So when you are talking about desktop or when you are talking about laptop, and अगर मोबाइल में कोई आपने उसका एक ऐप इंस्टॉल किया रहेगा, अगर आप कह रहे हो इंस्टॉल किया है, that's just an interface. That is just a way for you to quickly reach to that particular application. Actually, the application itself is not running on your machine. So if I'm saying that application running on your machine, we are actually making a wrong statement. Application over here is running somewhere on the application over here is not running on your machine. Application is running somewhere on the server. And you are only accessing that particular server via internet. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So these applications probably do not require any sort of installation. तो आपको यहाँ कहीं कुछ install करने की जरूरत नहीं है. We don't require any sort of installation. The major workload, Facebook, आज तक आपने लाखों पोस्ट किए रहेंगे Facebook पे. Are they stored in your mobile phone or are those posts stored in your desktop?
Desktop
Yes.
database.
Desktop पे stored होते हो? Never. चाह के भी नहीं कर सकते हैं. Unless you have not separately saved it into some folder आपने बाहर Facebook में upload किया and that gets saved in your machine automatically. When I post something onto the Facebook or Twitter पे मैं कोई tweet करता हूँ, does it get saved onto the database in our desktop? Okay. Never. It goes onto your account and that's online. That means, in all this software, the major work that we are performing is happening over the server, and that server is connected to your machine over some kind of network. And the most preferred kind of network over here is internet.
Yes.
So we require
Yes, sir.
constant internet connectivity to access this software. जहां हमें डेस्कटॉप में
Yes, sir.
इंटरमिटेंट कनेक्टिविटी चाहिए थी, बीच बीच में रुक के आएंगे तो भी चलेगा, इंटरमिटेंट कनेक्टिविटी चाहिए थी. हियर वी रिक्वायर कांस्टेंट इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी. विदाउट दैट इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी वी विल नॉट बी इन पोजीशन टू यूज दैट पर्टिकुलर सॉफ्टवेयर. Yes or no? Without that connectivity, we will not be in a position to use the software. We require constant internet connectivity. An important thing over here is, while we are talking about this constant internet connectivity, the major workload, all the processing, all the image processing, whatever you're doing, nothing is done, no load on your system. Your machine, your mobile phone or your desktop or your laptop is a dumb terminal. It is only acting as input and output device, whereas all the major operations are happening over the server. That means when it comes to the load of processing, it is not equally divided. The server is doing major work and your machine is only acting as input output device. You're either posting or you're downloading something from that particular application, but the workload, entire processing is happening at the server end. So here we require client server architecture. Your machine is a client and there is a server machine which is doing all the processing. So major workload of processing is taken care of by the server. Your machine is a client which is only acting as an interface via which you are accessing those services. You're accessing that particular data, those results, whatever has been given to you. So these kind of applications fall into the second category, and the second category that we are trying to identify here is web applications. So when I talk about web applications, these web applications can run over internet as over the browser. They can have some simple applications that are installed in your machine through which also you can access those applications. That means I can have some, you feel like when a Facebook install kiya hai, actually you're just providing a simple application which will help you not to go via browser. Through that interface, you can access that web application, nothing else. So these are all web applications. They are running over the server. No data is stored locally on your machine. No major processing happens on your local device. It could any device, handheld device or laptop. It could any device. The workload, the processing work is done only on the server side, majorly on the server side. There can be some text validation, some basic things that can happen on your system side, but actual major processing of the work is done on the server side. Now for that particular connectivity, we require connectivity. Ab network LAN या WAN से तो काम नहीं चलेगा. What we require over here is a special form of connectivity, that is internet. Internet is a prerequisite here. So here we require constant internet connectivity. In desktop we required intermittent बीच में चाहिए intermittent internet connectivity. Here we require constant internet connectivity. Constant connection चाहिए हमें. If that constant connection is not there, we probably will not be in a position to carry out or manage that particular, use that particular software. Workload is majorly taken care of by the server. And here we use client-server architecture. एक हजारों machines client है, एक server है, and the server is serving major number of clients. Note करके रखना. I can ask you to show your notebook. I'll ask you to turn on your camera and show me the notebook. Because again I repeat, हमें लगता है हमें याद रहेगा. That doesn't happen. So when you discuss something, it's always better right from day one, you make it a habit of noting down whatever you have understood out of the discussion. So when you revisit your notebook, you can recollect all the classes that we had, all the lectures that we have conducted. Now, there is so much of information that I'll be sharing with you. It's impossible for you to just recollect everything that I've said. So all the key points. So tomorrow when you're talking to somebody, if somebody uses a term, you should not keep on wondering, ye kya baat kar raha hai? That shouldn't happen with you as my student. You have to have a very clear idea as to what these actual terms mean. So desktop हमने देखा था, stand on a machine पे काम करेगा. Now we are talking about web, where the workload is on the server. Now there are other categories as well. Unfortunately, you have failed to mention any of the software from that particular category. The other kind of softwares that we very often come across are embedded applications. Now, when I talk about embedded application, these applications run on devices which do not look like computers, or they are not computers. Okay, they run on devices which look like, they do not run on devices which look like computers. So there may not be a computer, there can be a microcontroller, there can be a microprocessor, a software that is running inside your car, a software that is running inside your refrigerator, a software that is running inside your watch. These are all softwares, they are programs. Inside, say there is a forklift, and to manage that, control that forklift, there is a software that is using you to control that you are using to control the forklift. Now, these are softwares which are running on devices which are not computers. They are embedded into that particular device. So those are called as embedded applications. Now, this embedded application has a single task. They are not functionally rich. They're designed to perform that very specific task. That very specific task. वो एक ही वो है जो काम है वही करेंगे. They will not do variety of operations. They are not functionally very rich. Like Word open किया, हजारों menus थे. ऐसा नहीं होगा. They are meant for that specific task. Plus, most of the time, this embedded applications runs on devices that have memory constraint, that have constraint regarding the processor. You may not have i7 or i5 processor being installed in that particular device to take care of it. You may have microcontroller, you may have microprocessor that is there. The softwares are etched onto the circuit over there. So it's difficult for you to actually change that particular software once it has been etched. Etched means circuit hi ban jayega software ka. And second thing over here is they have limited resources on which that particular software has to run. So the software has to be as light as possible. Light in terms of number of lines of code should be less. It shouldn't take too much of memory. There may not be any graphics most of the time, except for अगर वो speedometer भी देखते हो तो graphics क्या आता है? वो lines आते हैं, 4 line diesel fuel है या 5 line का fuel है. Nothing very fancy. Okay, there can be some interface through which you are interacting with that particular software. Car में infotainment system होता है. Now they are becoming very, very powerful, and they have a lot of processing power as well. but still that power is not compared with the power that you have in your desktop or in your laptop. Infotainment system जो होता है आपकी गाड़ी में. Okay, in your car you may be having infotainment systems. So these are embedded software. They are running on devices which are not typical computers. They are not typical computers. Here we have variety of interfaces that are there. Display आपके बाइक का डिस्प्ले देखोगे, इसका डिजाइन कैसा है? It is not never square or rectangle, ऐसा नहीं होता है. It's something weird. Okay, the resolution is very poor. A lot of times it's not even having various colors. Support भी नहीं है colors के लिए. A lot of time. So the interface, the screens which are there, they are not always interactive. Not always interactive. The resolution is very poor. Okay, the devices are not very powerful. The power that is supplied to the device is very less. The processor which can process those instructions are less, and those software do specific tasks. They're embedded into devices which are not traditional computers. So those softwares are called as embedded application. As the name says, they are embedded. Embedded means put into various devices to make those devices, what we can say, to make that devices more intelligent. So that's the basic idea. Now, just coming back to our software, I am tempted to categorize the other two software into another category. So I'm going to take some softwares now. Okay, this is one that I take. Yeah. And I take these two, and yeah. Now, what is that you see common between them?
Sir, screen.
PowerPoint दिख
Oh.
PowerPoint.
Now,
हाँ तो
yes. I could add few to it. पहले ऐसे सॉफ्टवेयर में ऐड कर सकता हूँ. Come on, what is that you see common between them? While this is a gaming software, this is accounting software, this is used for HDLC, software development life cycle, software development को manage करने के लिए. These are different. I am putting them across in one category. Yes, anybody? What is that you see common between them? Any guess? Okay, let me give the name for that particular category. Then let's see how many of you understand. I call them as distributed applications. Now, if I call them as distributed application, now at least can you guess?
So show it again.
नहीं दिखाई दे रहा?
Presentation.
आपको चाहिए सॉफ्टवेयर here. And I'm calling them as distributed applications. Okay, that's the reason I'm saying there are some terms, terminologies. Although you may not have given me examples of them, you have to be aware of a lot of terminologies. You are now planning to become an application developer. तो आपको मालूम तो होना चाहिए what are the different types of applications which are there. A lot of time people are in a hurry. Sir, Java शुरू करो ना. अरे Java शुरू करके अगर आपको मालूम ही नहीं है what are the various applications and what applications can be designed using what technology, it doesn't really make sense for us to learn a language. We have to have a global picture. पूरा एक software का scenario हमें पता होना चाहिए. And then we have to identify for what softwares, what are the best technologies which are available. These are distributed applications. When I talk about distributed applications, some work, again, it requires a network. But that network that we require need not always be internet. It can be any form of network. LAN, WAN पे भी काम कर सकते हैं, internet पे भी काम कर सकते हैं, but they require a network. Network की जरूरत है for sure. So it is not that it will run on a standalone machine. एक machine पे काम करके उसका कोई फायदा नहीं है. For these softwares to be productive, they are a part of, they are used in a network. That can be a local area network, that can be over internet, but network is must, whatever form of network that you give. So first they require network, not necessarily internet. Internet ही चाहिए ऐसा कोई नहीं, but network मगर चाहिए. And if it can be internet as well, but they require network. Note करके रखो, they require network. Second thing is, here we have client server architecture, that's okay. Network है तो कोई तो server है, कोई तो client है, that's okay. But even if they have some server and some client, the workload is not entirely taken up by the server. तो आपका जो server है web application में, the server did the entire work. Facebook, Flipkart, the server is doing the Amazon Prime, वो server ही सब कुछ कर रहा है. Here the server is not doing the entire work. Partial work is done on the client side and partial work is done on the server side. So some work on the workload is distributed application. So what is distributed here? The workload is distributed, the processing is distributed. So your machines are no longer dumb terminal. Web application के लिए your machine can be very poor machine with hardly anything. Good internet connectivity is what you require. फिर आपके machine में कोई power नहीं रहेगा, major means in terms of processor भारी नहीं रहेगा तो भी चलेगा. You have browser, you have good internet connectivity, you can access Amazon, Flipkart, सब कुछ access कर सकते हैं, and doesn't matter how much memory do you have in your machine that you are actually using. Your machines are dumb terminal in web applications. Here, the terminals means जहाँ से आप interact करोगे have to be good machines. That means they are going to do partial processing. Some part of the processing workload they are going to take, and some part of the processing workload is going to be transferred to the server. So the workload is distributed over here between the server and the client. Both of them are involved in processing. In web application, almost entire, very few things will be done on the client side. Almost entire workload is taken by the server. Here, partial work is done by the server and partial is done by the client. So server thoda karega, client thoda karega, and both of them will divide. So your client machine cannot be a dumb terminal. It cannot only act as an input-output device. It has to be a machine which has processing power. Because उसको भी काम में involve करना है. So these were distributed application. तो features क्या है? They require some form of connectivity. Internet is okay, it's the cheapest way, but they require some form of connectivity. Second, workload is distributed. Entire workload is not taken up by the server. सारा काम server ही नहीं करेगा. Some work is done by the server, some work is done by the client. कुछ server काम करेगा, some work is done by the client. तो workload is distributed. You cannot have dumb terminal. या client server technology रहेगा, terminal dumb नहीं चाहिए. Terminal has to be intelligent because it's going to participate in processing of work. So these are some of the features of distributed applications that we have been talking about. So we are just trying to understand what are the difference between those applications. And then in today's world, the other very common applications are your mobile apps. Everywhere we are using mobile apps. Now, when I talk about mobile apps, it has its own challenges. Why it has its own challenges? I have a mobile phone that has a very big screen. And then I have another phone that has a very small screen. Dimensions are different. The dimensions that you see for the screen are different. Then this may be having quadra-core processor. The other may be having a different processor. The architecture over here is different. The architecture, this has touch. The other phone maybe have buttons which are there to interact. Isn't it? Some may have that pin through which you can point to. Some at times you can give a command through voice as well. How many times have you given command to your laptop or a desktop through voice? But here you can definitely do that. So there are challenges in developing mobile application. The biggest challenge over here is there are different interfaces. For a desktop and laptop, keyboard and mouse are the only most commonly used interfaces. Very rarely will you come across a laptop having touch screen. Very rarely. But most of the mobile will have touch screen. But it's not just about the touch screen. They can also have keypad. It's not about keypad. They can also take voice commands. Now there is such a variety through which we interact with that web mobile application. It becomes a challenge for a developer. Plus, every company have their own set of hardware, अपने खुद के अलग-अलग processors, environment. So I am not assured if I develop an application and if I'm running on Samsung phone, I'm not assured whether it will run on a Micromax phone or on Apple phone. I do not know whether it will run because a lot of those devices have different architecture. So I have to test my application on a number of other things. That doesn't normally happen with desktop. अगर मैंने Windows पे रन किया तो सारे machine पे रन करेगा जहाँ Windows रन कर रहा है. I don't have to bother. एक एंड्रॉइड फोन पे रन कर रहा है तो नॉट नेसेसरी इट विल रन करेक्टली ऑन द सेम एंड्रॉइड फोन. एंड्रॉइड स्टूडियो की कोई बात कर रहा था. देयर वी हैव इम्यूलेटर फॉर ऑल द फोन्स. ये सैमसंग का फोन, ये मोटरोला का फोन, ये फोन, वो फोन. वी डेवलप एप्लीकेशन एंड देन वी चेक ये मोटरोला के फोन पे कैसे दिखाई देगा, सैमसंग के फोन पे कैसे दिखाई देगा, नोकिया के फोन पे कैसे दिखाई देगा. वी हैव टू चेक दैट थिंग आउट and then we have to make necessary changes so it adjusts to various screen. Dimensions are different. आपके लैपटॉप स्क्रीन में कितने डायमेंशंस होते हैं, रेशियो फिक्स्ड होता है. देन यू आइदर हैव 14 इंच, 10 इंच और 17 इंच, 21 इंच, मैटर क्लोज. मोबाइल फोन में देयर आर राइट फ्रॉम स्क्वायर टू रेक्टेंगल, वेरियस डायमेंशंस. Resolution is also different. If you take a feature phone, resolution is different. If you take a smartphone, resolution is different. और स्मार्टफोन में 4,000 रुपए का भी फोन मिलेगा और 4 लाख रुपए का भी फोन मिलेगा with different. So here, even if I have to display something in the center of the screen center will be a challenge because dimension क्या है screen के, that will decide what is the center of the screen. So there are, and then again over here in mobile apps, in most of the mobile app, not much work is happening on the mobile phone. It is happening on the server side. For most of them, there are some mobile apps that can run on the mobile phone using the power of a mobile phone, which will not require internet. But most of the mobile apps will be connecting to the server which is there. So it's a challenge to develop the software on mobile phones. It's one of the most challenging features. Why? You have different interface. We have different screen resolutions. We have different power backup, that the power that is being supplied. We have different kind of processors which are there. And each of that processor have different processing environment. So if I take a heavy game and run on an older phone, it may just fail to run. You will not have that particular reaction. Time will be much higher. You will not enjoy playing that particular game. So it's actually a challenge to develop software on those kind of devices. So those are mobile phones that we have been talking about. So are these the only software? We are halfway through. There are other softwares like operating system, like Windows, Linux, Mac. There are operating systems. There are some utilities which improve the performance of your operating system, like disk defragment, backup. So there are operating system utilities also which are there, and there are operating system softwares also which are there. They interact with the hardware. All of them are constantly interacting with the hardware. They're getting the work done from the hardware. They're getting the work done from the hardware. So it requires, अगर इनमें से कुछ design करना है, you have to have very good understanding of the machine architecture. जिस मशीन को वो कंट्रोल करने वाले हैं उसका आर्किटेक्चर आपको सही तरीके से पता होना चाहिए. Only then you can develop this kind of software. Then there are compilers which will translate your higher language program into lower language that the machine can understand. When I say compiler, I mean the compiler, the linker, the loader, all those things. I'm not just talking about compilers. All those things which are required for your source code to be translated and deployed onto your operating system for it to run. There are other kind of softwares. There are device drivers. Every device that you connect, simple सा pen drive या अपने machine को connect करते हो ना, it says installing device driver. Printer connect किया, installing device driver. Camera लगा connect किया अपने mobile phone को, installing device driver. Even before it starts transferring the images. What are those device drivers? Device drivers are softwares which enables one device to talk to another device. It creates an interface through which different types of devices start interacting with each other. And now for those devices to talk, that means whatever signal your camera is sending, your laptop should understand, and whatever signal laptop is sending, that camera should understand. So there has to be a software. It's like something like this. Suppose we are over here and we have over here, suppose, probable Saurav Mishra here. Mishra comes from some North India, suppose, assume, I don't know where Mishra comes from, but assume Mishra is Pakka North India. And we have Gaurav, he's Maharashtrian. Gaurav knows only Marathi and Mishra knows only Hindi. That doesn't mean they're not going to communicate with each other. Or Modi, he doesn't know Chinese and the Chinese premier doesn't know Hindi, but they both still communicate. How do they do that? They do via somebody who is translating the things for them. Somebody is an interface in between. There's a translator in between who translate whatever they are saying. So these device drivers also to some extent act as an interface which will enable one device to talk to another device. One device to talk to another device. Now, when we are talking about such kind of softwares, they are very small, very lightweight softwares. They do not take several GB data memory or something like that. It's not like installing Counter-Strike Grey and it will take several GB data. ऐसा नहीं है. It will require very less memory. but then there are special softwares which will enable one device to talk to another device. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to touch upon most of the software categories so that you have a clear picture as to what is the current software scenario. Now, once you know what is the current software scenario, it's time for us to categorize the softwares. So although I have listed several softwares over here, when we look at the softwares that I have listed over here, there are so many different software, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different types of software. That doesn't cover all of them though, but I just try to identify some major categories that came to my mind. So we have listed or categorized and understood the features of various kinds of software. So we are trying to understand the current software scenario. We have listed various kinds of software. Now that we have listed various kinds of software, let's categorize them. Okay, they fall into two major categories. एक है system software और दूसरा है application software. Now, any guess amongst these, कौन-कौन से software system software में जाएंगे? Desktop, then
Operating system, compiler, device drive.
okay, so 4 और कोई? Okay, what Nikhilesh said is right. Operating system, compiler, device driver, desktop applications do not fall under the category of system software. So what is system software and application software? When you talk about system software, you have operating systems, device drivers, compilers, interpreters, linkers, utility softwares. They will all fall into the category of system software. Believe me, I have seen a lot of times during interviews, the interviewer, just to settle you down, to make you feel at ease, they ask us simple questions. And good students fumble in the simple question. They have gone prepared with Java and they do not know, like, this is good, like general knowledge in computing. When you are a graduate in computing, you have to have this basic understanding. You cannot say, oh no sir, मैं Java पे coding करने वाला हूँ, तो आप मुझे Java के question पूछो. That's just not going to happen. If you do not know the world around you, you are of no use. So you have to have this basic idea as well. But when you talk about application, all desktop, web, embedded, distributed, mobile, all of them are categorized as application software. So two major categories, system software and application software. Now, what is the major difference between system and application software? So when we talk about this system software and application software, let's try and understand system software. The operating system, what does it do? It interacts with the hardware. If you look at this, it controls the resources, the processor, the RAM. It creates an interface between your virtual machine so that we can actually use that particular devices. So it's an software which is constantly interacting with the hardware, giving a user a platform to run his applications onto it. So that's operating system. Compilers and interpreters, they'll translate your program into a format that can be executed by your computer via operating system. So they are again have to have knowledge about the operating system, the platform, the hardware interface. So they are all interacting with the hardware. The compilers, the operating system, they know what is the architecture for which you would like to. अगर C का code compile कर रहे हो, तो you need to know कि वो x86 machine है या 386 वाला architecture है. Accordingly, you will use the appropriate architecture and then you can compile the code for that particular architecture. So it runs correctly over there. 32-bit machine है, 64-bit machine है, हमें बताना होगा. Unless you don't do that, you are actually not creating software which is compatible for that machine architecture. Device drivers, they simplify programming by acting as a translator between hardware device and the application or the operating system that uses it. यानी आपका एक पेन ड्राइव है और आप अपने लैपटॉप को कनेक्ट कर रहे हो, तो OS should be in a position to interact with that thing, with that pen drive. You require a device driver. Camera आपने कनेक्ट किया आपके लैपटॉप को, the operating system should be in a position to pull the images from that camera into your machine, laptop. Again, there has to be a device driver. Every external device that you connect to your PC, right from printer, scanner, mobile phones, anything that you connect to your machine, any peripheral devices that even the monitor and keyboard, जब आप connect करते हो monitor, उसका भी एक device driver होता है. So that the operating system knows how to interface with your monitor or with your keyboard. I install a wireless, then also it will say installing drivers for that particular wireless mouse that is being installed. So device driver will enable your system to interact with various peripheral devices which are connected to your machine. Hardware की बात है दोबारा. Utility software. What did this utility software do? They assist your operating system to carry out some advanced tasks, backup, then formatting the disk, Okay, lot of disk cleanup, okay, disk defragment, ये जो मेंटेनेंस के टास्क है which enhances the working of your operating system, वो उसके लिए यूटिलिटी सॉफ्टवेयर की जरूरत है. One thing is common, they are working in close interaction with your hardware, with your operating system. These softwares, when you have to design, there are set of technologies that you have to be aware of. One thing that you should always know for designing the software is a very good understanding of the hardware, and then ability to interface with the hardware. That means low level interaction अगर आपको करना पड़ेगा if you are designing any of these software. So the other category is application software, and we talked about desktop application. They can run on a standalone in a desktop or laptop computer. Desktop ho, laptop ho, standalone. Standalone मतलब a device which is not connected to any form of network. उसे हम लोग standalone कहेंगे. May or may not need internet. Constant internet की definitely जरूरत नहीं है. It may require intermittent connectivity. मैंने कहा था. They are functionally very rich. वो कहा था. भले यहाँ point ना आ जाए, आपको लिखने रखना है. Then web application. They can be accessed via web browser. But every time you run it, you don't have to download it and you have to install it. ऐसा कोई जरूरी नहीं है. Sometimes you have an application, जैसे Facebook का एक ऐप अपने मशीन, लैपटॉप, मोबाइल फोन में इंस्टॉल करते हो या लैपटॉप पे इंस्टॉल करते हो. It is just an interface. It's not the actual application that is running. The most of the work is happening on the server, and that application or that browser के through आप उस server based application को access कर रहे हैं. तो locally it doesn't do much of a work. Most of the work is done on the server. The web application, the server takes responsibility for major processing. Very little work happens on the client side, and the application just provides a beautiful interface as compared to your browser. Browser में एक जैसा application रहेगा तो dedicated एक software दिखाई देगा आपको, but via that application we are again connecting to the internet. They work over internet. Internet की जरूरत है. Network तो चाहिए, but internet ही चाहिए. Then when we talk about embedded, we talked about the computer chip. They are not the general purpose computer that we talk about. Laptop की बात नहीं कर रहे, desktop की बात नहीं कर रहे. They can be consumer electronics, office appliances, network applications, video games, cell phones, PDA, GPS navigation system, robots, toys. हर जगह है. Train में है, plane में है, automobiles में है, and all these devices are intelligent today. They have that processing power. Now, to run the software on those devices, what we require is the softwares that are running on those devices, which are not traditional computers, are nothing but embedded applications. And to power them, we have the MCUs, microcontrollers, microprocessors. They have very limited processing power, not like your processor, Intel and Motorola processor that may be running in your machines. And then we talked about mobile application. The biggest challenge in mobile application is the device compatibility and the screen size. And another challenge is very little space in the device. You have to run that thing without consuming too much of battery. Power नहीं consume करना चाहिए. That's a consideration that we normally don't give. जब हम लोग जावा में application design करते हैं, that too for a desktop, we don't bother about ये instruction कितना power खाने वाला है processor के through आपके battery power कितना खाने वाला है. We don't even have to think. But you as a good software designer, अगर mobile app design कर रहे, you have to constantly understand how much will be the power consumption. नहीं तो आपने अपना गेम खेला 10 मिनट and the battery power is drained. No, that game would not be acceptable. So they have hybrid development, native development, or even just web-based mobile app development. There are so many options which are there. Mobile के through internet पे ही खेल सकते हैं. Mobile के through native मतलब आपके machine mobile phone के अंदर run करने वाला application भी हो सकता है या web पे run करने वाला but mobile के through access करने वाला. There are so many different options which are available when you talk about mobile application. That's the most challenging and growing area today. But when you talk about distributed, यहाँ किसी न किसी form के network की जरूरत है. वो internet भी चलेगा, LAN चलेगा, WAN चलेगा. But most important thing over here is the workload is distributed. That means some work is done on the client, some work is done on the server. Entire workload like web is not taken up by the server. So we have identified various software categories that are there. But the point is, if you, before I go ahead, anybody has any questions? And I hope you are taking notes. Huh? Not everything that I'm saying is there on the slide. तो आपको आपके notes लेना जरूरी है. Have you understood what you have discussed so far? Give me a quick feedback. Yes, no, जल्दी से बताइए. Doubt है तो पूछिएगा. You are here because you do not know. So do not hesitate to ask. Because the only way one can improve is by asking questions. more important than giving answer is to ask question that shows they are involved and you are eager to learn. Learning happens only when you ask some questions, and there shouldn't be feeling like, oh, what will Hitesh think about me when I ask this question? Are you are here not for Hitesh, you are here to develop your own career. So if you do not know anything, ask. I can guide you the best possible way.
Sir, explain embedded again.
Embedded softwares are those softwares which run on devices which are not traditional computers. जो आपको रेगुलर कंप्यूटर दिखाई देता है, जहाँ स्क्रीन है, मॉनिटर है, कीबोर्ड है, ऐसे डिवाइस पे रन नहीं कर रहा है. They are running on devices which are the consumer durables, the washing machine, the airplane, the car, the bike, the machines that control the CNC machines maybe. Okay, the जो अलग अलग टाइप के हार्डवेयर को कंट्रोल करने वाले जो बाहर के मशीन्स रहेंगे, दे आर नॉट कंप्यूटर्स ऑन विच द प्रोग्राम इज रनिंग. एंड टू डू द प्रोसेसिंग दे डू अ स्पेसिफिक टास्क. जैसे आज मेरे लैपटॉप है, आज लैपटॉप में मैं गेम भी खेल सकता हूँ, टुमारो आई कैन राइट सम नोट आल्सो. योर डेस्कटॉप्स कैन रन वैरायटी ऑफ सॉफ्टवेयर्स. दैट डजंट हैपन इन एम्बेडेड डिवाइसेस. देयर दैट स्पेसिफिक सॉफ्टवेयर इज एम्बेडेड. यानी अगर आपके पास जीपीएस मैप का कोई एक एप्लीकेशन अगर आपने आपके कार में इंस्टॉल किया है, उस पर आप गेम नहीं खेल पाएंगे. तो वो जो नेविगेशन का सॉफ्टवेयर आपके कार में रहेगा, वो सिर्फ नेविगेशन के लिए इस्तेमाल कर पाएंगे. यू कैन नॉट प्ले म्यूजिक इनसाइड इट. बट दैट्स नॉट द केस विद डेस्कटॉप. इट कैन रन वैरायटी ऑफ सॉफ्टवेयर्स. एम्बेडेड डिवाइसेस सॉफ्टवेयर जो होते हैं, दे आर परफॉर्मिंग स्पेसिफिक टास्क. They are performing specific tasks. They are embedded inside the device to provide intelligence for that particular device. Your device now becomes intelligent. Sensors डालते हैं हम लोग, और उस सेंसर को रीड करने के लिए, सेंसर का डेटा आने के बाद उस डिवाइस का बिहेवियर डिसाइड करने के लिए we write some small programs. They are running on devices which have very little processing power and very little memory. तो you are constrained for resources as well. Resource अपने जैसे नहीं है. 8GB RAM. कौन से बाइक में 8GB RAM डाला हुआ है? And then i7 है कौन से बाइक में? That doesn't happen. There are microcontrollers, microprocessors which will control those softwares, and those softwares will definitely perform a specific task. एक जो आपके बाइक में होता है, अभी आपकी बाइक at this speed will travel for another 50 kilometers in the field which is remaining. वो सॉफ्टवेयर सिर्फ उतना ही काम करेगा. अब बाइक खड़ी है तो चलो थोड़ी देर पर बाइक पे गेम खेल ले. That is not going to happen. They perform specific tasks. They are running on devices which have very little processing power, embedded.
कैलकुलेटर एम्बेडेड में.
Yeah, it's a kind of embedded. वहाँ सिर्फ आप कैलकुलेशन ही कर सकते हो, और कुछ नहीं कर सकते. Nothing more. Your digital clock that you have embedded. Gaurav, Nikhil, Ritvik and Saurav, क्या डाउट है? Gaurav, Nikhil, Ritvik, Saurav, what's the doubt? Give feedback.
Sir,
Yes,
no doubt, sir.
अरे फीडबैक दो ना, फिर वहां टिक करो ना, yes और no पे टिक करो कहीं तो.
सर फिर देखा जाए तो सब कुछ एम्बेडेड ही है ना.
कैसे बताओ?
मतलब व्हाट्सएप है सपोज, व्हाट्सएप पे हम मैसेज सेंड कर सकते हैं, स्टेटस देख सकते हैं. उस पर तो गेम नहीं खेल सकते ना.
गेम नहीं खेल सकते हैं, बट वो जो रन कर रहा है वो क्या आप किसी डिवाइस के अंदर एम्बेड किया हुआ है कि स्पेसिफिक टास्क? कैन यू नॉट परफॉर्म वेरियस थिंग? कैन यू नॉट सेंड वीडियो? कैन यू नॉट सेंड ऑडियो?
यस.
ओके, उसको रन करने के लिए ये तो वेब काइंड ऑफ एप्लीकेशन है, वेब है, बिना इंटरनेट के काम करेगा?
नहीं.
एम्बेडेड के लिए इंटरनेट की जरूरत है. कार चलाने के लिए, बाइक चलाने के इंटरनेट बंद है तो बाइक नहीं चलेगी.
नहीं.
आपका वॉशिंग मशीन बंद हो जाएगा इंटरनेट डाउन है तो?
नहीं.
व्हाट्सएप
बंद हो जाएगा.
So there are different categories of software. They have different features. WhatsApp इंस्टॉल करते हैं. आपने कब आपके बाइक में कोई सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टॉल किया है?
नहीं.
नहीं.
पहले से किया होता है.
आपने कब आपके वॉशिंग मशीन में सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टॉल किया है?
नहीं किया.
How many times have you upgraded washing machine software?
नहीं, वो पहले से एम्बेडेड होता है.
Embedded मतलब वो सर्किट पे ही डाला होता है. It probably cannot be updated also. It's etched onto the circuit. वो एक सर्किट डायग्राम बन चुका है. हमने तो कोड लिखा था, बट वो चिप के अंदर वो सर्किट बन चुका है. And that circuit will do only that particular task.
Means it is fixed.
It's fixed. It's etched. ईच का मतलब है ऐसा सोचो कि एक सर्किट डायग्राम बनाया गया है वो सॉफ्टवेयर के हिसाब से, और वो डायग्राम चेंज नहीं होगा, वो डाल दिया उसके अंदर रोम के अंदर, रीड ओनली मेमोरी, बाद में चेंज नहीं कर सकते। इज दैट ओके? लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स आजकल ये जो MGN न्यू कार्स हैव कम, दे हैव गिवन यू एन ऑप्शन, यू कैन अपग्रेड योर कार, यानी उसका सॉफ्टवेयर EEPROM में है, इरेजेबल प्रोग्रामेबल ROM है, नॉर्मली फिक्स रहेगा, बट आप कंपनी को कनेक्ट करोगे, गाड़ी का अपडेट आएगा तो सॉफ्टवेयर को आप अपडेट कर सकते हैं। आई होप यू आर नोइंग अबाउट EEPROM, इरेजेबल प्रोग्रामेबल ROM, तो उसमें थोड़ा सा अपडेट कर सकते हैं सॉफ्टवेयर को, बट वो अपडेटेड जो टास्क है उतना ही काम करेगा गाड़ी में और कुछ नहीं करेगा। Nowadays, if you have to check your car, say I had a Fiat Linea 10 years back, I had purchased it. Now, those days, these things were very different. When my vehicle failed, when I went to the shop, the mechanic did not open up that car to check that car. Listen, and I was shocked to see, that was in 2011 for the first time when I saw this thing. He did not open up the car to see. He connected my car to a software and he went into the cabin and he was checking that car, what is the failure on a computer. I said, what is this? He's saying, sir, अंदर सारे सेंसर्स लगाए हुए हैं and this is the only way we check the car को कहाँ fault है. So there are all sensors which are already there inside the car. He connected the computer, that car to the computer, and he was checking inside the cabin, बैठे check कर रहा था कहाँ fault है, कहाँ fault है. He was trying to figure it out. Very different. Normally when you say car has failed, he will open up the bonnet. अंदर मुंह डाल के ढूंढते बैठेगा कि कहाँ है. Gone are the days. अब कोई नहीं करता ऐसे. The technologies have changed. Embedded है, सारे चीजें अंदर है, sensors है, and when they connect, they can identify. कार का door lock हो गया था, and we cannot go to a key maker and get a car. The company comes and they have that software through which only they can open a door. Directly open नहीं होगा door. So it's all that software is there, and then you have to interface with that software to control that particular thing. Directly होने वाला नहीं. They'll come with a kit, a bag, and instead of having screwdrivers, anything inside it, they have that particular interfacing software through which they will plug to the computer. They'll put in the password, and then they will interact with that car. World has changed. Embedded. Embedded is going to such an extent that it is becoming वो mechanical device है car या electronic device है, यही question आने लगा अभी दिमाग में. It's hardly a mechanical device now. It's more of electronics than mechanical. And with this electric cars coming to picture, most of the mechanical components are disappearing. And
इलेक्ट्रिक कार मध्ये गियर बॉक्सेस नाही है.
This something most of the Tesla is saying they will have only major 17 moving components inside the car. 17 major components inside the car. अब अगर normal car की बात करते हैं, there are hundreds and hundreds of moving parts which are there. ये कह रहे 17 moving parts है गाड़ी में, matter plus. ये कोई वीडियो देख लो इंजन डिसअसेंबल करने का, and you will be mesmerized. ये कैसे असेंबल करते हैं, कितने पार्ट्स होते हैं, गियर बॉक्स और वो जो इंजन है, कितने पार्ट्स, जितने कंपोनेंट्स देयर इंटरमिंगल. इट इज अ चैलेंज. दिस हम लोग वो जो गैरेज में मैकेनिक होता है, वी डू नॉट, जब इंजन हम ओवरहॉल करके लेते हैं, व्हेन ही चार्जेस यू 1000 रुपीस फॉर अ टू व्हीलर इंजन, वी से क्या यार से ओवरहॉल करने का इतना पैसा. बट देन व्हेन यू ओपन अप एंड सी, देयर आर सो मेनी पार्ट्स, सो मेनी वॉशर्स, ये वो इतने कंपोनेंट्स होते हैं, वो असेंबल करना इट्स मोर ट्रबलसम देन सॉल्विंग अ जिगजॉग पजल. And they do it. But आजकल की गाड़ी में तो कुछ नहीं, बैटरी लगाया, मैटर क्लोज, इंजन गायब, गियर बॉक्स गायब, सब कुछ गायब, तो मूविंग पार्ट्स ही कम हो गए हैं. तो इट्स मोर ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉनिक डिवाइसेस देन अ मैकेनिकल डिवाइस. ओके, ऋत्विक, सौरव has not yet answered. Gaurav, are you there or you're not there?
Yeah, there, sir.
तो
I
रिस्पॉन्ड
messaged
करो
him.
ना. Okay, मैसेज करने जगह रिस्पॉन्ड करो so that I'm very clear whether I understood or not. निखिल,
Okay.
निखिल गाड़ेकर.
Yes, sir, present.
अरे ये प्रेजेंट है बाबा, मगर रिस्पॉन्ड करने में क्या जाता है. एक तो आपका चेहरा देख नहीं पा रहा हूँ मैं, एक तो आपने वीडियो ऑफ रखा है, ऊपर से आप टिक भी नहीं करोगे, तो आप सो गए हैं मोबाइल लैपटॉप ऑन करके या क्या कर रहे हैं, कैसे पता चलेगा. तो टिक तो क्या करो, रिस्पॉन्ड करो. ओके, तो हियर वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट वेरियस सॉफ्टवेयर. But if you are really interested in system software development, then what are the skill sets that we should have? You should be very good in C, C++, assembly. Don't think about designing system software if you are not having mastery in this. इसके अलावा भी कुछ चाहिए, कंप्यूटर आर्किटेक्चर पता होना चाहिए, ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम पता होना चाहिए, नेटवर्क्स पता होना चाहिए. That's a theory, but as far as programming language goes, these three languages rule that particular market. So you cannot think about system software development unless you are very strong at C, C++, and assembly. To put the other way around, just knowing these three languages and some other technologies like operating systems, networks, computer architecture, you can make a successful career in system software development. So when you talk about operating system, device drivers, compilers, interpreters, utility software, this is a tool set that skill set that you need to have. Knowing these three languages are good enough as in terms of programming languages. This is good enough knowledge that you have to develop any of these softwares. इनमें से कोई भी software अगर आपको design करना है तो C, C++, assembly. Not that Java is not at all used, not that Python is not at all used, but I'm talking about who rules the market. Okay, what are the major softwares that I used? So these are the major softwares that I used when you talk about development of such kind of softwares. So point is, different types of softwares require different skill set. It is not like I know C, तो जिंदगी में आप मुझे कुछ भी पूछो मैं C के थ्रू ही डिजाइन करूंगा. That could be a wrong way to think about it. That could be a wrong way to think about it. Not like everything can be designed only through one software. Different softwares have different features that enables you to develop different types of applications. So right now, what we saw was system software. तो अगर आपको system software design करना है, तो you have to have good knowledge about C, C++ assembly, very good knowledge about C, C++ assembly. And then few other skill sets are handy, but these are the softwares that languages that you need to know about. On the other hand, if you're developing application software, here all the four require the same skill set. That's not the case when you talk about application software. In terms of an application software, desktop application will require different skill set and web application will require different skill set. So if you're designing a desktop application, what are the probable technologies that you can use to design desktop application? You could rather use C++, you could use Java, you could use VB, you could use C#, you could use Python. Any of these, I have put an alarm today. Last time we forgot to take a break. तो अभी ये डिस्कस करके we'll take a break before we start with the second part of our discussion. तो luckily हम लोग बराबर टाइम पे ये टॉपिक खत्म कर रहे हैं. The next part that we'll be discussing is something different. Okay. So we'll just quickly finish with this and then we'll stop. We'll take a break of 10 minutes or 5 minutes. So we're talking about desktop application. The skill sets that we are requiring are totally different. C++, Java, VB, C#. Yeah, assembly में कोई desktop application design नहीं करने वाले. I'll avoid designing desktop application even through C when there are such better options which are available. Not that I cannot develop a desktop application through assembly. That may not be the best choice because it doesn't provide facilities which will make my code easy to maintain, develop, understand. Desktop application के लिए ये technologies are very good. Then when I talk about web application, that requires a different skill set. शायद वहाँ ASP.NET लगेगा, PHP लगेगा, Python लगेगा, Ruby लगेगा. Now I'm not going to use Ruby to develop a desktop application, neither PHP to develop desktop application, neither ASP.NET to develop desktop application. So, and neither C++. A lot of times I may not use C++. Although there are C++ application used over web, but then it's much of an effort ज़्यादा है. हमें कम से कम efforts में ज़्यादा development करना है, आसानी से चाहिए. तो web application के लिए these are the various technologies that we need to master. And then if I'm talking embedded, again the C, assembly, C++ rules when you talk about embedded. Java and C# can also be used for embedded applications. Okay, but C, C++ assembly, they rule. Then they have Java, we also have C#, not ASP.NET, C#. When I talk about distributed application, we have ADA, we have AS400, we have Java. Technologies are different. AS400, you can say it's the follow-up of जिसने COBOL का legacy continue किया है, जहाँ बहुत सारा data processing करना है. We had actually COBOL, and now AS400 you can think about a replacement for COBOL kind of thing. You can think about it. It's almost a replacement for COBOL. Don't say it's a replacement for COBOL, but it's almost something like that. Huge amount of data processing to be done. Insurance companies, banking, there are a lot of them use for distributed application. ADA, Java, AS400. These are the various mainframe machines जहाँ रहेंगे. तो ऐसे scenarios में they will go ahead using these technologies. And then we talk about mobile. We have HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Java, Ruby, and other things. So point is, for different application software development, there are more number of application software that you see in the market. आपने तो मुझे ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम एक दो बताए, बट ज्यादा तो जो सॉफ्टवेयर बताया आपने वो सारे एप्लीकेशन सॉफ्टवेयर ही बताए, एग्जांपल्स 26 में से. some of you said Windows and somebody said compiler. बाकी खत्म. Okay, तो system software तो आपने बताया नहीं, but all the software that we normally come across, which are visible to us, or behind all the softwares are embedded, the system softwares. But जो normally हमारे दिमाग में सामने आते हैं, these are various application software. But the challenge is to develop different application software, we require different skill set. Okay, so it's not like अगर मेरे पास desktop application development का skill है, then I can design web applications. No, for web application I'll have to have a different skill set. But if you observe them very carefully, there is something very interesting happening here. कुछ observe कर सकते हैं?
सब में Java use करते हैं.
Java is everywhere. That means your investment in Java as a language will not go waste, because then you have ability to develop desktop, web, embedded, distributed, mobile. हर जगह आपका Java काम आएगा. The syntax of Java that we'll learn, we can be used for web application development, can be used for embedded, for distributed. That means Java is everywhere. Rather, that was the slogan of Java for a very long time. Java is everywhere. So desktop ho, web ho, embedded ho, distributed, mobile ho, all kind of applications. The way we write Java code will be different, but the syntax, the APIs that we'll be learning in Java SE forms the heart of all advanced Java technologies. So using Java, कल जाके आप desktop बनोगे, web बनाओगे. So I am going to teach you how to develop desktop application in Java. और वहाँ जो syntax पढ़ोगे, वही syntax आपको web application in Java में भी करना है. Where you write the code, that is different. वहां सर्वलेट के अंदर वो कोड लिखोगे और यहाँ आपने एक मेन के एप्लीकेशन के अंदर कोड लिखोगे. बट द वे वी राइट द कोड, द सिंटैक्स दैट वी राइट, द वे टू यूज द APIs, all is going to remain the same. So it makes sense for us to learn Java, invest. Why is Java surviving in the market even today? That's just because it's so very versatile. It can be used for all kind of application development. And that's where we'll start with the second topic, that is, what is Java technology? But before I take you to the Java technology, let me show you the history of Java. Okay, history means the timeline meaning how Java has survived and has been the most popular language for the application development for all these years. So there is one index which is maintained by TOIB, and you'll find Java ruling the market for the last 25 years. The only language, Python, which has displaced Java from the first rank today, but still Java today has a very good market share. So if you look at the index, software index, कहाँ गया? Let's look at the index, an index for December 2021. So index for December 2021 भी देखोगे तो Python may be the first, but it has just climbed. वो last साल 3 नंबर पे था, अब first नंबर पे आया है. But actually for last 20-25 years, it's C and Java which has been ruling the market. Okay, इसमें 4% drop हुआ है C का, यानी it was more than 15%. Java का 2% drop हुआ है. Otherwise, it was even ahead of Python. But look at this. These three languages, Java, C, and C++, has ruling the market for a very long time. Python is the latest entrant in that particular group. Latest entrant है. And then we talk about other languages, जिनकी बहुत ज़्यादा market में बात होती है. People talk about Go. Look at the market share. 1% भी नहीं है. MATLAB 1% भी share नहीं है. Although being the 20th most popular language, 1% का भी share नहीं है. And the major share is among these languages. Visual Basic, C has C++, Java, C, and Python. Python has seen the biggest growth. जहाँ सब language में negative है, तो Python में positive है 0.69. C++ is also growing very fast. Okay, C++ is also growing very fast. But then there is very little difference between them. Every month this keeps on changing. If I show you trends over a period of time, look at the Java with a green color trend. तो अगर आप Java की बात करते हो, तो let's remove some other languages that we are not interested. इन languages को हटा देते हैं for a moment, so that we can focus on this top four languages. तो look at that green color picture Java. It's almost governing 2002 से लेके 2022 तक अगर हम लोग देख रहे हैं, it's almost at the top throughout its life. तो हाँ, बीच में थोड़ा सा C के नीचे आ गया है. तो here in somewhere around 2014 में C ऊपर गया था, Java नीचे आ रहा है. That happens. Then over here in 2018 C dropped significantly and Java had grown significantly. That can happen, slightly it can happen. Python is the latest entrant. देखो तो जरा Python का growth कैसे है. For last 25 years there was hardly any growth. जरा 2018 के बाद देखो Python का growth. Can you see that 2018 onwards how the Python is growing?
Yes, sir.
ये 2018 के बाद है. That's because ये ML, data science, there we have find fantastic support for Python that Python is providing. So Python has seen this phenomenal growth after 2018. 2018 में देखो 17 में शेयर कितना है मार्केट में? 3.8. Okay, और तब जावा कितना था? 12.69 and the Python था 3.8 and up Python is growing very fast. It has now have a market share of 11.77%. नवंबर की बात कर रहे हैं अगर हम लोग और दिसंबर में 12.9. तो Python is growing very fast and that's because of this emerging fields like data science, machine learning, AI. उनकी वजह से Python is growing very fast. But then if you look at historically who have been surviving and leading the market, it's Java, it's C, and it is C++. It's C++. These are three which are above the rest in the software technologies. So there is a lot of investment done already in Java and C and other languages. Python is just recently started growing, but there is so much of work that is already done in C, C++, and Java. There is no way we can replace this technology. They have now become, what do you say, platform. And these have been huge amount of investments have been done by the organizations in those platforms. It's very difficult for them to move away from this. So tomorrow Sony says, "Chalo Java छोड़ के हम लोग Python पे shift करते हैं." Not possible for them. So much of software they have already designed in Java. They will have to think 100 times before they move from Java stack to some other stack. Not possible. These companies will not let Java die because their blue layer disk player, Sony का सबसे flagship product है आज 100% Java. Now, how will they shift away from Java? Because they have done millions of dollars of investment in that particular framework. So point is, industry will not let Java die. Now, why is it so? Is the second part of a discussion that we'll have. We'll take a 5 minutes break and we'll continue. Should we take 5 minutes break or 10 minutes break? 5 minutes break के लिए tick कीजिएगा, 10 minutes break के लिए cross कीजिएगा. अरे quick tick या cross. 5 or 10 minutes break. Dhanashri, should we continue? Dhanashri and Pranit म्हणतात की continue करा. Don't take a break.
सर 5 मिनिटं झाले की ब्रेक.
मैं विचारतो ना 5 का 10 मी तुम्हाला तो चॉईस दिलाय 5 का 10 चा चॉईस दिलाय. ओके प्रणीत फीडबॅक दो यार प्रणीत. टिक या क्रॉस? Pranit, so we have 6 and 4. Okay, almost equal. Okay, have a quick snap. We'll take a 10 minutes break. 8:40 hai. 8:50 we start immediately. And when we start, we go ahead with the second part of our discussion. Okay, so I'm going to stop the meeting right now, our recording, and we'll start it again. So this could be one half, and the second half, we start with the second part of our discussion today. That is, what is Java technology? And you'll understand some very interesting aspect about Java that most of the people are not aware. So what is Java technology is what we'll answer. We'll look into various features of Java technology in the second half of our discussion. So let's take a 10 minutes break. It's 8:40. We meet at 8:50. Okay. Thank you. See you after 10 minutes. Have a quick snack. Jada mat khao, light khao, so that you will not sleep. Huh? Okay.